So I recently uploaded a humorous little guide in jest to explain what a particular Orochi I did was fighting wrong while fighting my Highlander, and while most everyone seemed to get what was going on here, there was one particular commenter that stuck out like a sore thumb and made me question why I even bother in the first place. Like, this guy was so obviously out of left field and rude and just disrespectful that some of my fans and my good friend Young Malaria came to my aid. I debated whether or not to even make this video, but oh boy, his most recent comment. And before I get, oh, moron, you're just hiding behind all your fans and that dumb profile picture you put up on screen. There, that should be better. Come on! Can your ego get any bigger? Hey everyone, it's Ego Abound here, back at it having this massive superiority complex even though self-deprecation is one of my main forms of comedy. So this comment evolves into literally every single Reddit thread ever made complaining about a Highlander. You all know the drill, something 50-50, something uncounterable. For those of you unaware, and I'm sure the original commenter is as well, a 50-50 is a move that forces you to make a choice between two actions. If you guess wrong, you get hit, hence 50-50. Now, let me just debunk this line by line here. Highlander's moveset is completely comprised of 50-50s. This just in, crushing counter-strike is a 50-50. You never know if he's going to superior block light you or not. Coming up, is feinting in defensive stance OP? More at 11. Back to you, Purple King. It's not reading. It's not pressure. It's luck. No. Just know, anyone who has a basic understanding of this game at a competitive level knows this is incorrect. Now, as for why this is incorrect. Both reading and pressure are huge terms used in For Honor's community, and for good reason. For this next bit, I'm going to assume everyone here knows that 400 millisecond attacks are plain and simply unreactable. This isn't a bad thing, and that's all I'll say because this is getting tangential, but that's just the baseline. Now, let's say you're fighting a Peacekeeper. Her zone attack is unreactable, but you notice after she finishes her light chain, she likes to throw her zone out. You notice a pattern, so you parry the zone attack. That wasn't luck. This wasn't lucky at all. This was you making a read and countering an otherwise unreactable attack. Now, the same thing is fundamentally true for kick into caber toss. While it is entirely reactable, the dodge window is very tight and will heavily punish an early or a late dodge. Same thing goes, you must make a read and attempt to counterattack. Now, this isn't saying I think Highlander is completely fair. The 40 damage punish is rather nutty, to be candid. I think it's in the best interest of everyone, me included, because I want people like this to shut the for Ubisoft to reduce damage at 35, 5 damage higher than the original number before the buff. I was just never encouraged to divulge just the Mr. King here because of how personally rude he got. Alright, so let's move on to pressure. This should be relatively self-explanatory. The part of the video this is referring to is when I said Highlander's out of stamina pressure and Mr. King, quote unquote, argues here that this isn't pressure and it's just luck for the one getting grabbed. No, and here's exactly why. Any form of mix-up while your opponent is out of stamina turns twice as deadly. Hell, even a feint while your opponent is out of stamina gets deadlier. Think Warden feinting his shoulder bash. Think Conk delaying or not doing his shield bash. That's out of stamina pressure, and it exists in varying degrees of bullshit. Now, that being said, his pressure in out of stamina is monumental, but not necessarily unhealthy for the game. As I previously stated, and as I stated in my previous video, you should always be watching your stamina when you're fighting Highlander. Going out of stamina should be a massive threat, but not like Conk's pressure where he can basically just keep you out of stamina for eternity if he plays optimally. A good Highlander will refrain from using his kick feints until you've given him an opening, an opportunity to catch something, i.e. a back dodge, until you go out of stamina, where you're actually forced to make a read whether he'll continue the kick or feint into toss. In stamina, depending on your character, you have several options to defend against the kick into grab, or any other of his soft feints in offensive form. You guys understand what I'm saying, I assume. Backstep light, dodge attack, it's just existing as a kensei. Come on, man, all the tools are there, you just have to use them correctly. He goes into making a very poor coin flip analogy that doesn't really work, but I'm pretty much done with this comment. Let's move on. I then replied, attempting to correct him, and to attempt to get him to back off in his edgy and insulting tone. And this is what I was met with. Ah, but that's where you continue to be incorrect, moron. You say it's not a 50-50 when you have stamina, but where's the proof? I'm sorry, guys. I really can't take him seriously with this tone. He's definitely one of those guys that thinks he's really smart because he knows how to structure a sentence with character toning, but he just comes off as a pompous asshole. But seriously, the proof, the fucking game is proof. You have the tools to practice against this stuff on your own. You have the tools right in front of you. Use your fucking tools. It's what separates us from the animals. Though I'd be willing to bet a chimpanzee uses tools better than this guy. Here's a list of things you can do to counter Highlander attempting to use an offensive stance mix-up while you have stamina. Use the training arena, please. It's there for a reason. You say such things because you're biased. You mean him. Therefore, you will defend him. This isn't inherently wrong of me. Of fucking course I'm going to defend my main from people like you storming in with pitchforks and demanding a witch trial. You have literally no idea what you're talking about, and every single point of yours I've refuted so far has supported that. So it's bad when I try to clear up misconceptions and educate people with skulls you couldn't crack with a diamond drill? When I mained PK in Season 1, I told everyone to get good as well. See, here's the difference. Peacekeeper is actually broken, and it took them an entire year to nerf her. Highlander is just a massive noob stomper that gets whined about at every level except competitive. I used to have respect for you when Highlander first arrived in the battlefield. Dude, come on. It's a fucking game. What is this pseudo role-playing tonality here? I bet this guy unironically edgewalks on people after he light spams them to death with a Orochi. Then he gets real power, and you autonomously defend him when people speak the truth about his unbalanced level of power.
You keep using the word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
First off, no, people are not speaking the truth. People are whining and complaining about something that's harder to counter than your average move. If you nerf kick into K toss, then Highlander dies at a competitive level. That move is what keeps him in the game. Now, as I stated previously, I want to see the punish reduced in damage and have them keep the tracking to keep him viable. You were sick of dying to that low level, and now you want revenge! Stop lying! I honestly don't know what the fuck he's talking about here. For real, I'm at a loss at what he's referring to. What am I lying about? What part of anything I've ever said about Highlander has been an intentional falsehood? And really, I'm being serious here. Tell me why all these Highlander mix-ups aren't 50-50 with or without stamina. Give me statistics. Show us what you mean. Or better yet, I challenge you to make a video on the subject, showing how all three subjects aren't coin flip, frame by frame. Good luck. This part right here is the single most pretentious, entitled thing I've ever read in my comment section. Firstly, this isn't how arguments work. You have to bring your opinions and evidence to the table, and I have to bring mine. I've brought mine. You have yet to bring yours. Your line of thinking is how anti-vaccine moms handle themselves. Maybe that explains something. No, I take that back. I had a friend in high school with autism that functioned at a higher level than you do. I made a community post sending you a video from a superior player, outlining all of my points because I didn't think any further evidence on my end would be necessary. The video contains every bit of insight you need to get better at fighting Highlander. It is not my job to give you statistics while you sit there in front of your screen and sweatily type out another Highlander main hate thread on Reddit. Secondly, I don't make my videos for you. I make videos for the people that genuinely enjoy and appreciate my work and show it time and time again in my comment section. I make videos for the people that show up at every live stream and hang out and converse with me, even if I get angry at the game and shout sometimes. I make my videos so I can make people's days a bit brighter with editing tricks and fun gameplay. I do not, however, make videos because you demand it. I don't particularly care if you lost your respect for me because I generally let my shit flush down the toilet when it comes out. I don't like to entertain a conversation with it. So the notion that I am in any way inclined to make a video for the sole purpose of attempting to cure your willful ignorance is downright asinine. You see, I can sound like a pompous prick too, Mr. King. So I shared a Learnikin's guide on how to deal with Highlander, and this is what I got. I challenge you to make a video, and you give me someone else's? How cowardly! Seriously, who is this man? Cowardly. How? Someone else has already compiled the information you're looking for, and you wanted me to waste my time giving you the exact same results? How the fuck is that cowardly? I'm actually trying to inform you. I politely ask you, politely, wow. Politely, I politely ask you, and you decline me. Shameful. What a shameful display! Shameful! A shameful display! Prove me wrong with your results, not someone else's. The entire point here is that I didn't need to because they're the same results. The only option that works for all characters is dodge rolling. It's clear he actually didn't watch the entire video. He must have gotten to the part where Alernican says every character can counter it with a dodge roll, and then he clicked off. That's the only explanation I can think of here because he goes into depth on what every character can do against Highlander to counter him. You're a coward and a liar. If an option doesn't work for all characters, it's not an option at all. Hello, and welcome to Purple King's School of Not Giving a Fuck What Anything Means. First step, So this reply confirmed my suspicions. If I would have made an in-depth guide, I would have been met with pretty much the same reply, shrugging aside all the points I made, and only focusing on the 50-50 myth. He isn't willing to admit he is wrong at all, because he's so buried in the myth of the 50-50 stigma that he can't accept any other reality. Fist in the air in the land of hypocrisy! So the people that complain about Highlander's 50-50s are usually Warden or Orochi mains. It's really interesting to see, considering that Warden has a 50-50 of his own, and Orochi shouldn't have to worry about Highlander's offensive stance. Thing is, people look at Highlander and say, oh my god, so OP, but then they look at Warden and think his bash feint is fine. Clarify what I mean. Warden's bash is effectively what you would get if Highlander could hard feint his kick into caber into a guard break. That's just an observation. What do I got to do to wake you up, to shake you up, to break the structure up? I've thought about quitting For Honor a lot lately, but I keep putting out stuff because I have a fan base that loves it. I do love the game, and I love playing my Highlander and my Valkyrie, but it gets really exhausting, especially having to deal with stuff like this. Listen, I don't care if you hate Highlander, I really don't, but I care when you hate him because you have an incorrect idea of what he is. Highlander is a really technical character and takes a fair amount of skill to learn the intricacies of his moveset. Just look at players like Hound of Terror, and oh my gosh, that are fucking incredibly talented. They do things with Highlander consistently that I can only do on occasion when the stars align. Like, look at this shit, this isn't easy to do.
There you go.
So the people boiling him down to just kicking a caber spam and harassing me for playing him, it's really tough to see. These people would rather they nerf him back down to uselessness because his kit is overtuned damage-wise. Yubi should nerf the damage on the offensive heavy. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But the fact of the matter is, if you touch his offensive stance dodge or the tracking of his moves in any negative manner, it would gut him worse than Yubi gutted Valkyrie. If you take one thing away from this video, it should be that my point is not that Highlander is 100% balanced. I think I've made myself clear on that, but I'm just stating that again, you know, just in case anybody gets any ideas. Honestly, guys, I don't know what else to say. I'm going to go ahead and wrap the video, but I do want to thank everyone that came to attempt to convince Mr. King that he was wrong. Alas, it was in vain. But there are some real zingers to be had. Literally, choke on a bowl of semen, you decrepit cretin. The audacity you have to insult somebody for your own complete lack of knowledge on the subject. Remove your reproductive organs, please, or learn how to approach a social situation without sounding like a pompous, mentally handicapped naysayer. It's so good, man.